everyone, welcome back to Rooted in Style. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Melanie. Today I'm going to repot my brand new Philodendron Goeldii from the nursery peat mix into my more houseplant chunky mix from Soul Soils. And I figure also talk to you a little bit about Philodendron Goeldii, also known as Thaumatophyllum spruceanum. It is native to Brazil, where it lives in the rainforests. It grows partly on other plants and partly in the soil. It does tend to be in more of kind of underwater areas, I guess would be the way to explain it. Because of that, this plant is one of your high humidity plants. It likes the humidity at 60 to 80%, but it grows fine at like regular house temperatures. So like 50 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit is perfectly fine for this plant. It does like the soil to maintain moisture, but it prefers a well-draining mixture. And I believe that's partly because of how it is in nature, where it grows partly on trees, but partly in the soil. You may also notice that the plant goes a little bit dormant in the fall and winter, so you may not see any new leaves during that time. I'm going to get to potting this. I've got my gloves, my scoop, my little chopstick here to make sure I don't have any air pockets in the soil, and my Soul Soils. So let's get this guy out of his pot. Okay, that wasn't hard at all. He has a fantastic root system. So lots of big, thick roots. Let's see if I can get all this off easily without wrecking any roots. So, other things I didn't mention about this plant is that with it being a philodendron, it does like bright light. And as you can tell, this plant is fairly spread out. It can actually grow to, I believe it's 3 to 5 feet tall and sprawl to 2 to 3 feet out. So this plant can get quite large. So we'll see how this fits into my smaller apartment here. I was at the store just to check it out because my husband drives past this nursery every day going to work. So I said, and he said, oh, we should check it out. You should see if you like it. Maybe they'll have something for you. And it's mainly outdoor garden plants, which is reasonable, I mean, I feel like most garden centers are, because plants are made to be outdoors, not indoors. When we were there, I saw this plant, and he was in a different area. He saw a smaller version of this plant, and he came over to me and said, you have to see this plant. It looks so cool. So I said to him before we went over there, look at this one. This one I really like. I've seen it at a few nurseries, but you know, we don't have the space for it or anything. And he goes, oh, that looks really nice too. Let me show you the one I found. And then he shows me a smaller version of it. So then I said, yeah, you know, they're the same thing. And he goes, oh, they're really nice. You found a really nice specimen. You should get it. And here's me saying, where are we going to put it? This thing is going to grow so big. Like, we have a small apartment, and he just talked me into buying it. So I've learned, I think we've both learned, if I'm really thinking about a plant, at some point I'm going to get it eventually because I really like it. And he knows that I won't stop thinking about it, and I should just get one if it's a really nice specimen. Not get it to get it, but get it if that specific one you're going to regret not buying. Oh, its roots are so hard, and it's really in this potting mix. For some reason, it smells good. It smells flowery. So I'm trying to tease this out. What I'm doing is I'm going to the ends of the big roots and kind of trying to loosen them in the soil. And that's my goal of how I'm getting this really, really tight root system loosened. I'm trying not to break any of the roots, but It's a little bit inevitable. We've got most of the dirt off. It has a very good root system. You can see that. And I did lose a few roots in the meantime, but they will survive. I'm going to switch it from a 4-inch pot to a 6-inch pot. I want to go a little bit bigger since the roots were coming out at the bottom, but I don't want to go too big. I'm gonna sprinkle some of my rooting powder on my roots here, help decrease the shock. And I also want to mention that I am not replanting this in the fall or winter. I don't recommend repotting any plant during its dormant period. Now, some people will pre-wet the mix that they're putting their plant into. I ran out of potting soil, so I just got it today, and this plant needed to be repotted. So I actually have not pre-wet it, but that is something that you can do. You can wet your soil, wait a few days for it to dry out a little bit, and then repot your plant. And one of the important things that you want to do when you're repotting your plant as well is you want to make sure that there's no gaps in the soil. So let's see. So, can you see here how there's that little air pocket? You don't want that because then the roots can dry out between waterings. So that's why I like to use a little, what do they call these? Oh my gosh, I forget it every time. My chopstick, because the chopstick will get the soil in between the roots and get it through those air pockets, especially with your chunky soil. You can accidentally get a good amount of air pockets. So you also, with this plant, since I had a lot of holes kind of in between the roots, I'm also going in between in the center, not just along the sides. You don't have to worry about damaging your roots when you do this because this plant has very robust roots, and even if it has smaller roots, you still need to get the air pockets. The roots can just go around. They can move around where you're using your chopstick. And I personally pot my soil up to the top because I've noticed that as you water, it usually drops it down a little bit. It gets a little bit more compacted. But some people will tell you not to go to the top because then the water can kind of spill out when you're watering it. I think it's a little bit of personal preference. All right. We are fully replanted now. I'm going to water this guy. Now it's time for the fun part. finding space for this large plant in my small apartment. If you guys have any experience with it, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And I guess by this point you've made it to the end of my video, so thank you for watching to the end. If you liked it, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until my next video, happy planting!